Wow, we are living in such uncertain times. And I don't want to be dramatizing this, but you need to find good investments. I've got five, what I believe are the top five investments you need to look into. Stay tuned. Hey, Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies, and today we're going to be talking about investments because we need to make investments in our lives. Things are just in so much turmoil financially. The markets are all over the place. Housing prices, I know in Canada, are out the roof. We live just outside of Calgary, Alberta. The housing prices are astronomical. It's shocking. We had our house evaluated, and our house is getting close to doubling in price in 3 years. That's crazy. I'm speechless. And not only that, who is really suffering that I think? It's the 20 and 30 somethings. I have all my children in their 20s and 30s. Boy, they are struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling to buy houses. I know that they just struggle. One of them just bought a house recently, and I felt that they paid so much for it. But you know something? That's what the market commands, so that's what they had to pay. So I feel for them. They both have to work now really hard because when I say the both of them, my child and their spouse, and it's tough. It's a tough environment. When we had our young family, I could work by myself. We didn't have lots of extra cash, but we were able to over time to buy a house and everything else. Whereas the kids nowadays, man, and pardon me when I say kids, young adults. The young adults nowadays, they have to really work hard. But today, I'm going to be touching five what I believe are the best investments you need to consider to get ahead in this game. One of my children has really taken this to heart, and I've seen her gains go astronomical. Like, she has put away a lot of the old paradigm thinking, the old way of thinking, and she's opened her eyes up to a new way of thinking. And I had the privilege of having a really big conversation with her yesterday about it all. And I'm just totally tickled pink on how she's doing. But I believe all my children are working towards those end goals, and they know most of these, and they see it working in their lives. So hopefully it works in yours. Okay, enough of a ramble. Let's get into the points. So the first one is invest into low involvement stocks that pay a dividend. I know it's not very exciting, and I'm not even going to give lots of stocks. I would say, stick with easy stocks that have had a history of paying good dividends. Examples are Coke or Pepsi, Enbridge in Canada, Fortis in Canada. You can buy into the banks in Canada or United States. You kind of get the point. Now, you want to invest into stocks like that because in the long haul, especially when you're younger, they will be really, really good investments because they'll gain in value and the actual dividends gain in value. And that's really important. The next option here is to actually look at ETFs, or like exchange traded funds. And they're like a group or basket of funds being controlled by a funds manager. And the rates of actually controlling those funds is very low. So you get most of what is there. The cool thing is, the growth might suffer a little bit, but the dividend is definitely there. So if you're looking for a way to have a strong long-term dividend situation, that's the way to go. So make sure you start doing it right away. And it's easy. Whether you're in the States, Canada, or another country, there's lots of brokerages available. Personally, I use Questrade. I've been using Questrade for 3 years, and I really like working with them. But get it done. There's 2 times to start your wealth tree. First one was 10 years ago, and the second time is today. So get started today if you haven't. Now, the cool thing about this is you can invest and forget. You can just put the money away, and just forget about it and let it grow over time. Now, that's a really great strategy. Now, don't do this with things that are shaky. I remember, and I know I'm going to upset a few people. People were saying to me about a year ago, oh, you got to buy Tesla. It's the best stock on the planet. Got to buy Tesla. Got to buy Tesla. Gotta buy Bitcoin. And my experience in trading has shown me that, yeah, you can make really good gains, but stocks that are moving fast and making good gains can have good losses too. And both of them Bitcoin is doing better than it was for a period, but Tesla is it's not dead, but it's definitely much lower than what it used to be. And there's a lot of people who are in a very strong negative position. I was talking to somebody who has a lot of Tesla stock the other day. They're struggling, and I said to them, the best thing you can do right now is just to hold on and wait and see what happens. If Elon Musk regenerates his company and gets it going again, and there's things I believe he needs to do, he'll do well. So it'll be good. And doing this provides you with some diversification. If you invest like I do, I invest into the big banks, I invest into real estate investment trusts, I invest into services, I invest into companies, I have lots of Coke stocks, things like that. In the long run, that diversification protects me. One stock is up, the other stock might be down. And you'll find that you can buy what's down and hold on to what's up. So that's a really great way to go. Okay, so make sure you invest into stocks that pay a good dividend. Second point here, learn to pay yourself first. I say this all the time. Paying yourself first is a strategy that goes hand in hand with the first one, which is investing on a regular basis. If you learn to pay yourself first, and this is a big mind shift. It took me a long time to make this mind shift. Don't pay yourself last. The poor pay themselves last, the rich pay themselves first. In other words, you make paying yourself a line item. What most people suggest is you ratchet out an expense in your budget of 10 to 20%. That way, it becomes a line item, you got to pay it, and it's gone. In the beginning, it could be hard, but I'll tell you from experience, once you start doing it, you don't miss it after a while. And what's really cool is when you start seeing that value of your retirement fund or your investment account go up over time, and you can save $10,000, $100,000 really quickly. It's actually pretty surprising. Personally, I saved over $100,000 in about 18 months, which is astronomical. I pulled out all the stops, and everything I'm talking about in here helped me do that. You need to learn, first and foremost, pay yourself first. That's really important. Your rate of return on this is going to be easily 9, 10, 12% in the long run. Again, the whole idea behind paying yourself first is very little thought needed. Once you've hatcheted out that expense to pay yourself first, you just do it and you forget about it. You make it happen. And this is one strategy that I can promise you, if you do and you learn to do now, especially if you're 20 years old, look out. You can do very well for yourself. I sat down with one of my daughter's boyfriends. He's about 22 years old. And I put together a budget that he could afford, that was a pay yourself first budget. And if he stuck to it, by the time he was 45, so about 22, 23 years, the young guy's going to be a millionaire, man. It's just crazy. And it's not a big suffering for him right now. It's money that he's spending on nothing, and he's literally robbing from his future self. So pay yourself first. I'm going to leave it at that. The third one here is kind of something that goes hand in hand with paying yourself first. Everybody in life gets cash windfalls. In other words, something happens that you get more cash than you normally would have. For example, I just did my tax return this year. I got another $7,000 back, strangely enough. That was a cash windfall. Now I have a few options here. I could just go spend that money, or I could invest it. And I will tell you, in the beginning, learning to invest a cash windfall was hard. It was really hard. Why? You think about the money that you're going to get. Let me give you an example. I was getting a bonus for about $5,000 from a company that I used to work for. And I was like, oh yeah, they came to me and said, well, do you want us to put it into your RRSP, or do you want to just pay it out in payroll? It's up to you how you want to do it. Oh, I want to see it in payroll. Well, I got my paycheck, and I just about had a cat. I only got about $2,700. And I went, hey, where's the other $2,300 here? Taxes. Taxes. And it really stung. And, I had all these plans between my wife and myself. I think we'd spent that money 10 times over at $5,000. And at the end of the day, we ended up just paying some credit card debt off, and it wasn't very exciting anymore. It was a real wah, 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 like a real letdown. And I learned a valuable lesson. A few years later, the same company gave me a $10,000 bonus. I really wanted to cash, but I remembered losing half to the government. I sat down with the accountant in the company and said, hey, can you show me if I take this as paycheck, what am I going to really get? Because it was even more. I was going to get about half, about 5 of it. And I thought, you know something? I'm not going to give the government $5,000 of my hard-earned money. One day they're going to get it. I know they're going to get it, but I'm not going to give it to them today. And I said, and it was a hard thing to say, just put it, I'm closing my eyes because this is how I did it. Just put it away in my RSP. In the beginning, it was really hard because I felt like I'd given the bonus away. I just gave it away. It wasn't mine anymore. The truth of the matter is I stuck it into an investment account at the time. It was an RSP investment account. And over time, it grew to about $15,000, which was really exciting. If you get a windfall, this is a way to really boost your savings beyond everything else. The returns are astronomical. That was one of the reasons why I was able to save $100,000 in 18 months or so. It wasn't because I was chunking away $10,000 on a monthly basis. Woo! I got an extra 10 grand here or there, throw it in. I didn't have that. I could maybe put in a grand or two. That was about it. And in the beginning, I was putting in $400 or $500. So really, unless I had some windfalls, I couldn't do it. And some of those windfalls came out, and that was a little bit of extra cash. I just put it right into it. I put my tax returns for the last 3 years into it. I sold about $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. I would just put it right into it. And these windfalls are out there, and they will come to you. Now, decide what you're going to do with them. So be smart about it. Okay, so the fourth point here is seek good certifications and diplomas that make you worth more. It feels like a complete divergence from what we've been talking about, because we've been talking surely about investing in the long run. But really and truthfully, one way that you can make yourself worth more is to seek good certifications, good diplomas. Look at your trade that you're in, whether you're a plumber or you are, like I'm a programmer. And an example is I went and got certifications in different areas as well as experience. That's another one. Get experience in certain areas because it makes you more valuable. Where I used to command $60 an hour, I command $100 an hour now, just because I've gained experience, certifications, and diplomas to back them up. And this is a way to literally double, triple your salary very quickly. So look at what your trade is, what it has, what you're interested in, and see what you can do to look left and look right. And that will make you worth so much more. And your gains, always when you're looking at doing a certification, be sure to find out what your gain is going to be before you spend the time and the energy to get that certification. Now, number 5 here is tied in with number 4, and that is learn to know your worth. Know how much you should be making. It's always been something that has really ticked me off when I've been an employee working for a company, and that is it's tough to get a good raise. I remember going to my boss one time, and I felt that I was being underpaid, and I tried to get about a 10% raise. I felt that that was more indicative because I got to know my worth in the marketplace. I got to know what other companies were paying for my position. Well, I approached my boss, and then they approached HR, and I think I got about a 1% raise, and it was terrible. By the time I got the raise, it had bumped me up back to taxes again. It bumped me up into a new tax bracket in Canada here. I basically got almost nothing on a monthly basis. Like I maybe got an extra $50 and was like, wahoo stinking deal. Like who cares? Like this is crazy. And it really disillusioned me when it came to working for the man at that point in time and having a job. I learned an important trick then. I knew a friend who was he was a job hunter, like he was a headhunter, like he would look for positions for people in the technical realm. And I sat and talked to him one day and said, look, am I just being unrealistic or what? And he said to me, Frank, you have the ability to make this much and not what you're making. And it was a big difference. He said, look, I've actually got a position that I think that you'd be a good fit for. It's going to be a bit of a elevation because you're going to be moving into more of a management position, but I think you can handle it. It fits your skill set well. So I went on the interviews and I actually at the end of the day got the job. And I literally went from about $50,000 a year to almost $80,000 a year overnight. Now my current employers were pretty upset because they had just given me this raise about a month before. My boss was furious. My boss was ticked. And I said, look, I came to you first. I came to you and said, look, I feel that I'm being underpaid. I went into the marketplace. The marketplace has shown you now this is what I'm worth. I didn't tell him exactly what I was making, but I said to him, I'm definitely making a lot more than 1%. If you would have paid that to me right off, I would have never looked. So you had your chance. I'm sorry. He was ticked. And he made my life for the 2 weeks that I had to give just a living nightmare. But needless to say, I dusted the dust off my shoes and moved on. And I've never forgotten that. And that's one of the reasons why I've been a contractor for the last 10 years. Because I know that I can get a pay raise very quickly if I just switch companies. Get to know what you're worth. Get to know who is paying those rates, and don't be afraid to move. Now, if you're in a position that has a really great pension program, do consider that too. So that's just a little caveat. But never be afraid to go onto another company. Leaping between companies that used to be frowned upon is commonplace nowadays. So unfortunately, because there's just no loyalty anymore when it comes to companies, and that's sad to say, but it's true. Hey, before we get to our bonus, I just want to ask you, have you subscribed yet? If you haven't, please subscribe. I really enjoy putting these videos together for you, and I intend to give you lots of great information to help you grow your wealth. So please subscribe. But let's get into our bonus. And the bonus is to learn how to increase your investment knowledge. The more you learn about investing, you'll automatically get better potential returns. And that's really, really important here. Let me give you an example. When I started learning how to invest, I knew that investing into good dividend stocks, because I'd learned that, I didn't know. Investing into good dividend stocks, I would get 1 to 4, 1 to 5% returns, which is awesome. I was like, oh, that's great, Right now, my portfolio is over 10% in terms of returns. Why? Because I've been learning how to invest. And more so, I've been learning how to use other strategies with my stocks to make more money. And one of them is selling options. I'm working at that. I don't know if it's something I want to do just yet, but I know that there's a possibility that I can increase my returns by up to 24% a year. It's very possible. But I have to learn how to do it. But yeah, I would recommend to you always seek to increase your investment knowledge, whether you learn how to use government-sanctioned long-term retirement and savings accounts, whether it is to buy real estate or learn how to buy real estate or stocks or whatever that investment is, whatever your investment is, and even businesses, learning how businesses run and how to invest into businesses. Learn how to do it because it's going to be worth something and you'll reap the rewards from it in the long term. So I hope you've enjoyed these points. I've got another really great video just showing up right now. And that video is talking about bad habits. Ooh, are bad habits robbing you? Go check it out. We'll see. If you do, we'll see you over there. If not, have a wonderful day and thanks for joining me today. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.